Hey guys, welcome to 712 Podcast. We got my main man Ramiro, my co-host. What's going on, Ramiro?
Man, happy to be back. Happy to be back. Get to meet new people. I see people
Oh yeah.
commenting, seeing what we like to see what type of topics y'all want to touch up on, and based on your comments and input, we would really appreciate that. I know we can speak on A to Z for hours, for days. What do you think, Andy? We can carry on a good mouthpiece if we have to.
Man, we can talk for days. We can talk for, 3 hours if we don't look at the time.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So, Andy, I've been meaning to ask you, take us,
Yep.
take us back, rewind a little bit if you don't mind. I know you had first thoughts at one point for those who want to launch in the future. Some of the viewers that you have here in Siete Doce. Take us back to your first thought. I guess vision of you initiating a podcast. I think I find that very interesting for those who trying to launch one down in the future.
My vision came in I believe it says 2018 or 2019. I was in the Virgin Islands and I'm always on YouTube and I seen a podcaster. He does interviews for homeless people, they share their stories, how they got to where they at right now, how they came up, good family home, all the good stuff. And now, of course, they're not out in the streets and the drugs and things like that. So I was like, you know what? We sacrifice a lot, and I think if I'm here, sitting in front of a computer, looking at a homeless person talk, about their life, I'm sure we could have some viewers, some people that could be interested about the things that we do and then we go through in the sacrifice and all the good stuff. Um, a lot of people think just because when you mention refinery, the first thing that comes to your mind is money, dinero, like, oh man, you guys are making a shitload of money and this and that. But what they don't see is the hard work that's, behind the doors, the sacrifices that we have to do, day in and day out. Not just us, but our families, our wives, our kids, they go through the same thing that we go through, believe it or not. Um, it might be even harder for them because especially if you have kids, your kids wants you to be there at home and you're not there because you're providing for them. But yeah, that was the first time that it clicked, and I wanted to to do that. And man, it was I've been talking about it for the last since 2018, 2019, man. And then about a couple of months ago, I was just like, you know what? I called my main man Juan, and we talked for like an hour and a half. Shout out to Juan Mancilla.
All right.
And he was like, man, write down the ideas, bro. And I was writing down the ideas, and I started doing the logo right away. Boom, boom, boom. I was looking for the name, actually the name first.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, what should I name it? And I was at work. Don't tell nobody, but I was at work for like 2 hours getting on the phone, just trying to look for a name. And then I got a name, and I was like, you know what? This is the first name was Con el Casco Puesto.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, it's cool. And then 3 days later, this 712 came up. I was like, that's the one.
Well, that's awesome, brother. Because I tell you what, the first time I went to your place to set up from that point forward, I was like, you know what? Especially when you help initiate the conversation and to kind of help co-host and stuff. That's very, very gratifying because you just never know who's tuning in. Some of the guys and ladies that are going to be probably in the future watching this, we're going to run into them eventually in one side or another, different cities or states. That's the way our business is. One day we're up here, one day we're down here. But I always tell people all the time, uh, be be courteous, respectful, and professional at all times on the way up. Because on the way down, we're going to be seeing the same folks. And one day there might be our boss. You just never know it. And that's happened many, many times, Andy. But once again, your vision is great, and I can't thank you enough for asking me to co-host here and there. And the next challenge, I think, you already mentioned his name, Juan Macias, aka Juan Man, aka You know how he dances.
Well,
What you think? We're gonna get him roped in with challenge 4. Juan Mancias. We're gonna get you.
man, I've I've already sent the damn tripod, so I don't want to hear anything about. Oh man, I don't know. I'm scared. It's like, bro, you
Yeah.
don't think I'm scared to get in front? Get on here and talk to people. Strangers that don't know who I am, or my friends that are gonna probably judge me. Like, man, look at who does he think he is? Look at him. He can't even pronounce the word right. Look at him. He can't even, things like that. But you can't let that hold you down, bro. Stop you from what you want to do in life. You just go ahead and do it. The hardest thing is starting, because you can have an idea, and look at me. It took me from 2018, 2019 to now. I could have probably started in 2018, and I probably would have had hundreds of thousands of followers, but I didn't. So all you got to do is start, man, and go from there.
One thing I tell a lot of people, and this applies to any industry, the hardest part, and anything that you're doing where you're working, I tell folks all the time, the hardest part is showing up. Once you show up, guess what? That's half the battle. The other half the battle is let's give it down. Let's bring in your 100 plus A game. That's the tough one for the consistency part. So don't wait for somebody to ignite that fire. You pretty much got to ignite it yourself. And all this, my upbringing was this, and such and such and such. My life. Uh, I'm gonna be honest. Yes, there's people out there with heart, but a lot of us, they kind of think, well, hell, I got my own problems too, and this and that. But we're all brothers of the same industry. We're gonna pick each other up, and that's the way this works. One day I may be down and look at my body language, and say, hey man, remember you generally, you're up here. What happened? So I expect people to come up to me and shake me up a little bit so we can get back in tune. So shout out to all our brothers that we know in our industry.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it was a little bit hard for me to put this in play, but someone kind of lit the fire under me. I'm not gonna mention any names, but I appreciate that person actually, because if not, I would probably have a bunch of equipment here at the house, cameras and all kinds of stuff that I hardly use because I'm always at work. But now all the equipment, hundreds of or thousands of dollars of equipment now is being put to use. And again, it's all you gotta do is start, man. Like you said, the hardest thing is starting, right? Then you're gonna run into things that for me, running into how do I connect this, and how do I do this? How do I learn how to edit? And how do I set up a microphone? How do I set up the audio? Like I told you before, it took me, once I had everything set up, it took me like 2 weeks just to get it started, because I would get frustrated once, I would want, like after work, I would want to come home and get on it, and then I just couldn't do anything about it because something wouldn't work. But now it's easier for me to get everything to work, and man, I'm excited, bro.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of people are hitting me up, man. Like this whole week, a bunch of folks are hitting me up. Hey, I want to be on the podcast, you know, which is it's a good feeling, because look at us. We only have 400 followers, and for people to be asking us to be in the podcast, I mean, to me, it means a lot.
Yes.
Obviously, we want to get bunch of followers, but as long as I touch one person, even if I only have 1,000 followers, I'm good with it. The purpose of this podcast is to educate and help each other out, whether it's financially, whether it's family, whatever it is. That's the whole purpose of this podcast.
Right.